You hear that busy on my shit, you bitch ass nigga. Oh, you right there. That mother, they fighting, yeah, they fighting. Chuck ass nigga. Don't do this shit. Don't walk over you like this. That nigga ain't do nothing. Dude, yeah, Buzz on you. What's in there? Hey, shot my foot in the head. He shot me in my shit. I'm a real nigga, but he bust my shit open. I'm 21. He's like 32. Ha! I'm putting my TV down. Man, just want his motherfucking TV, man. Oh, man, what? Man, so you putting me out? Cool, get my shit. Okay, we need you to do that right now. You gotta put the man out and take the nigga shit. That's crazy. Assault which was occurring in here. Okay, here's the deal. What's the deal is? I think, first of all, I'm on the head leaking. You hear me? Damn, you talking about live, but you don't see this blood on my shit, cuz I got a reason to be fucked up in the game. You see, I got this young ass motherfucker. You see, I got this young ass mohawk boy with the blood coming in front of that bitch. He attacked me. Oh, he knows where he bumped shit. He go over the white boy. He fucked up a white nigga. What's up, y'all niggas, man? You go like fuck that other nigga, fuck up, man. Told him to stop He got his motherfucking ass with it. He'll be going to jail for. He'll be going to jail because he's a bitch right now. I'm gonna go to jail.
All right. Here's what's going on. We got a call from an anonymous citizen that
there's
subject in the area that's got $1,000 a fresh no bail warrant for he's a violent offender, previous history. He's armed. He's threatening to shoot it out with the police.
You want to shoot it out with the Menards?
Which is going to be myself.
You want to shoot it out with 12?
I need you to post outside.
So why don't we get the K9? Don't get the K9 shot.
What we're going to do is we're going to go and make an entry and try and detain
this guy. Get him, bro.
If we get enough guys there, where we go.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, follow me. Follow Stokely.
Follow me, bro. Bro, like, man, I know I'm ready to shit. I ain't fucking with you, bitch ass nigga.
Right now, we're going to be the primary unit on attempted warrant service for a wanted subject who's allegedly carrying a handgun and has previous history with police officers in the past.
You got the 40-year-old, you want to buff on you.
You there, 428?
You done?
Still in the post.
What you need?
Let's go to the bar first.
Oh. Boy, nobody knows you keep that right out, bro. How y'all feeling, boss, man?
So Brandon and Ethan always told on each other.
Oh my God. Fuck, yo.
means if you keep on snitching on me, you might get hurt. Are you threatening me? No, I'm just telling you what happens.
Simple motherfucking shit. Just simple shit. You feel me?
But I don't want to get stitches,
Just
so I'm
simple
not
shit.
telling you no
That's all.
more.
Simple shit,
They
bro.
started doing all types of things to break. I mean, turning off the TV while he's in the middle of the game, eating the last fruit snack, even wearing his favorite sneakers.
You all good, old man. If I got something like a box of chocolate. Got the fuck I came down here for. Sit down. Sit down with me. Bro, sit down with me. My bad, what's up, man? Hold up, man. Hold up.
Brady Ethan had front row seats to an NBA game. The only issue was Brady got extremely sick.
This shit become crazy. It be simple shit, yo. I'm starting to think I'm motherfucking. I'm starting to think I don't speak English, yo. I'm a bitch or something. I'm at the demonstrate on somebody.
Are you really okay with staying home by yourself? You know what? I don't want to be by myself. Okay, Ethan, you gotta stay home with him, and you better take good care of him.
Not playing. It's like the shit I say don't mean. It's all good, though. My guy start stepping on me. Faggy whore. Don't get your ass up. You understand me?
So one day, Ethan heard a knock at the door.
Huh?
Can I help you with something?
What happened?
I'm actually pregnant. I'm okay.
Oh, I said don't get your ass up.
Friend, or is there a foul? Well, come right in.
This time.
When they walked in the house,
Y'all wanna see this get his ass football live? You wanna get your ass football live? I say ass football live. You wanna get your ass whooped on live? Huh? Oh, okay. Oh, go ahead, chill out then. And then you just dump that shit out. No, you do it, but you talking about favorite lady, you should eat it. Yeah, eat it. Fuck it, you might don't want it.
So who did you buy this from?
Fucking my motherfucker.
From the Mexicans, okay?
You bought it from the Vatos?
Alright, you're under arrest right now. $50,000.
I bought it from the Mexicans.
Unlawful possession of controlled substance warrant. And then felon in possession of a handgun.
Hey, you got that bitch on your gun, you want prison, girl?
No. You got the original booking sheet?
Hey, nigga.
Okay, he's ready to go.
Yo, got the
This
motherfucker.
guy's gonna be off the street for a while.
Man, say, put that bitch on the Vatos.
Firearm.
And you say
He's
what?
gonna be going to prison for a long time.
Hmm?
You are kidding me.
That this nigga shit. The fuck? Yeah, all day long. Oh my god. They ready to run a war. They go to prison.
Handgun.
Oh, you go. Hey, guess what? They better than good coming to get them. This ain't got the drum right there, the gas mask. This ain't got the motherfucking scanner right there.
Thinking about doing a
This look like fucking grenades and shit. This nigga next to me kill something, cuz. The fuck you talking about? That nigga cartel nigga, bro. Straight like that. Whoever trying to kill him, man, he gonna kill his ass. Go. That's some straight motherfucking professional shit right here.
Took him to the ground, had to
That's crazy.
or actually tase him. Luckily, he brought his other hand around because you found the handgun in his waistband. This guy said,
You
"No,
ain't pull that bitch out."
appreciate your help."
I was scared to death. I was gonna die
You're
today.
be on the assault charge, like I told you, but you're in a ton of trouble for everything else. Alright?
I ain't no violent person. Can I go be like my all this shit you was
It's 5 years. 5 years, mandatory minimum. Enjoy your last breath of fresh air for a while.
It was just that privilege by here by himself.
You knew the rules before you got the gun.
Undercover officer just witnessed a drug deal in the area.
I ain't no violent person. Oh shit. Oh, that shit. What? They don't go to awesome.
Oh, here he is. It's interesting to see what he does with his hands. Generally, these guys will either eat their drugs or hide.
Damn, man.
How you doing, sir? Can you show me your car, please?
Lizzie.
Can I see your license? Where are you coming from? Just down the street. Where down the street? Over by the park. By the park? You mean with the guy in the bicycle over there, the one that you just buy drugs from? The guy in the alley? I know you did. I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? We're watching the area. We have undercover officers. Okay? And why do you think we're here? All right. Did you buy some drugs?
I was gonna, but he didn't have anything going, so.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Can you step on out, please? No drugs in the car?
No, sir.
You don't mind if I search it?
Yeah.
Do me a favor. Open up your mouth.
Hey, what? Shit, you gonna get him? You gonna be out?
Ah,
that's-
I'm not sure you got no drugs or bombs or anything like that, all right?
But you think I got a bomb
This
this?
one? Are you sure you didn't give this guy any money?
No, I didn't.
Trust me, if I had a bomb,
Special lips?
I'd have told you that thing. Back the fuck up, bitch. Lord, fuck up.
I had a phone, I let it up, blew this bitch up by your stand right here.
The fuck you talking about? We can't get no bomb.
No. You know what? So what you got over here?
Spray.
Drugs here often? No. Have a seat. I'm gonna check your car for drugs, all right? Do me a favor, extend your feet, cross your ankles like this. Just stay right there and talk to my partner, okay? You're going over there.
You know he tweeted. Yeah, you want?
He did talk to somebody.
You know he tweeted.
I said, drugs.
I said, hurry how that was pedal.
Family trouble,
Oh, that's no pedal, man.
What he's gonna have with your dog?
I'm going to my dog, I told
You pretty close to your dog?
you. Fuck his dog, Ramos.
Is it the answer to him?
Take home with Ramos off the bill.
You have probation now?
Okay, we'll give you a warning for loneliness. Why y'all got to sit down there, baby? Let me go over there.
So hopefully someday you come back, we'll arrest you for possession again.
Damn. Okay, hold it. We got to go in here by the business with the coach. Damn, good. That's fucked up. Those are gonna catch you with that shit if you lock your bitch ass up and violate you. That's hating ass shit, boy. I tell you.
All right, see you later.
I say, what they do, right there? I go to Charlie Fair.
Based on what this guy
Yeah,
said,
we did one line. He prank that
like,
He gonna prank that one for real. You hear me? Those that can't go to Johnny there. The nigga you had earlier with the hat backwards. This bitch ass, this bitch ass full of that shit. Go get him. I couldn't wait to get this nigga. We back, baby. Look at that. Go double right back on my guy.
I'm coming up to Monte Vista in a minute.
Coming up on the side now. Where's that? Where at?
We're coming up to the area.
Oh,
And just as we speak, he's doing another deal.
oh.
To this.
This nigga just fighting down there because wait to catch you with some butter, so you gonna walk on second butter. He's very good prison, man. Look at him, Johnny, look, nigga. This bitch that diamond. Damn, bro. Damn, God. No, the drugs. Back to the finger, bitch, ass. Back to the finger.
No drugs.
No, that's what it is. You hard my son, boy. Bro. Hey, mother.
You want some glass?
You know, you said no drugs, you don't know what you need. Hey, come on, what? This nigga say no drugs.
We got this guy right.
When you say no drugs, I'll fuck you on the way. Look at me, you know you're going back my mile. That mama, damn, I put two bars. I go back on those with two bars. Man, they gonna put him with that with on those, sir. Well, he got to do it. Oh, if I'm not put on the butter pipe, I put it in your pocket, okay? You go back to your own shit. It's on the butter on it.
Rock cocaine on
We got the rock coats, we got the butter.
There's another piece.
So we got a bowl.
That little boy that worked in the back, he like,
That's me old son. You know, please. Ain't never been going downstairs with us. Oh, it's a little bag. You know, been selling butter for days on this bitch. Niggas have all in the back. They supposed to bang on his ass, man. Let me go get the fuck out of here, man. Straight up, they supposed to bang on his ass, man. Rock on that. Oh, that butter. I want 10. Nigga, you probably want 10. You know what you I want 10. That man say you want 10 butter, man. That's crazy. You got gas over in the car?
Drug deals.
She ain't gonna matter El Salvador with $6, man.
Okay, just use the.
They gonna say, nigga, how you make coffee? You go, man, nigga, come with $6.
Here, and we are block away now. Another officer is about 2 blocks away also, so we should get there about the same time.
give me my motherfucking money.
You should have seen me go like this. He was like, you trying to
Curve. They wanted to shriek and the fight.
he was hurt. Man, I'm fat ass nigga over there. How much that got hold of that? I'm in the cut. I'm fat ass supposed to go to the man. You gotta look at that. It was the dog. Shut up. Yank.
Wireless
King,
has
yeah.
flexible phone plans
Yeah, he Rodney King,
and connected.
That was the Rodney King shit right there.
And you'll save even more.
Hey, you shut up right here. That's
Very good. Hey.
Switch to Google Phone Wireless today.
A black woman is detained, but when the officers discover who she truly is, their faces drain.
I don't know.
Who is she
love it.
really? How could they have been so blind?
shit
This
going on.
moment
You know what I'm saying?
transcends a simple arrest. It's a stark reminder of how disastrously wrong we can be when we let prejudice cloud our judgment. This moment isn't just about an arrest. It's about how much we can get wrong when we judge too quickly, and how sometimes power lies where we least expect.
I said shit earlier.
On a bustling
Yeah,
afternoon in the
sure.
heart of downtown Atlanta, Dr. Naomi Carter,
Go ahead.
an African-American neurosurgeon,
The way she dressed. You know what I'm saying? She looked like she didn't.
Naomi
You try to say she looked like a straggler.
in the medical
Yeah, I seen the shit earlier.
a reputation
What's up with y'all?
built
Where y'all from?
relentless hard
Hey, yo, what's up with you? Hey, yo, what's up?
So high.
Today was no exception. She had just completed a 12-hour surgery
Yeah.
that had left her both
Yeah,
physically and
motherfucker surgery
mentally
for 12 hours.
exhausted. Her only thought now was of getting home to her family and unwinding after such an intense day. However, before she could enjoy that much needed tranquility, she had to stop by a nearby convenience store to pick up a few essential items. Dressed casually, Naomi pulled into the rubber and stepped into the store, blending seamlessly into the everyday hustle and bustle of the neighborhood. People were going about their business, seemingly lost in their own worlds, paying little attention to those around them. As Naomi entered, she caught a glimpse of the cashier, a young woman named Sarah, who shot her a cautious, almost suspicious look. Naomi brushed it off with a shrug, attributing it to her own appearance after the long shift. Who wouldn't look a bit worn out after spending hours on their feet in the operating room? As Naomi moved through the aisles gathering what she needed, she began to feel a nagging sense of unease, as if someone's eyes were boring into her back. It's that unsettling feeling when you're sure someone is watching you, but when you turn around, there's no one there. That's exactly what she felt at that moment. though she tried to dismiss it at first. After all, she had faced subtle forms of prejudice before. This time, it was harder to shake off. Outside, officers Blake and Hunter sat in their police cruiser, responding to a report of a suspicious individual in the area. As it turned out, Sarah, the store employee, had mistaken Naomi's exhaustion for something far more sinister and had called the police.
Where you from?
How do people leap to such unfounded conclusions? This certainly wasn't the first time someone had been unfairly judged, and unfortunately, it wouldn't be the last. Inside the store, as Naomi approached the cashier, the tension in the air became palpable. She was acutely aware that Sarah's gaze had never left her, filled with an unspoken hostility that Naomi could almost feel. The atmosphere was charged, and Naomi knew she didn't want to linger any longer than necessary. However, as she neared the counter, the door swung open, and in walked officers Blake and Hunter. Their eyes scanned the store methodically, as if they were searching for someone specific. Naomi's heart skipped a beat. What on earth was happening? What would you do if you were in the shoes? She had simply stopped to buy some milk and bread. But now, out of nowhere, the police were there. As Naomi moved to the counter to pay for the groceries, she couldn't shake the feeling of dread creeping up her spine. Sarah, the cashier, seemed visibly anxious, her eyes darting nervously between Naomi and the store's entrance. Just as Naomi handed over her money, she noticed the two police officers standing a few feet away, their hands resting on their holstered weapons. Naomi felt her heart lurch in her chest. What could this possibly be about? Naomi wondered as she noticed the officers approaching. "Ma'am, we need to have a word with you," Officer Blake said with a firm tone that sent a chill down her spine. Startled, Naomi
Your name is
turned to face them,
1738.
trying to mask
Yeah,
her
baby.
anxiety. "Is there an issue, officers?" she asked, her voice wavering slightly despite her effort to stay composed. "We received a report about a suspicious individual matching your description," Officer Hunter said, his expression serious and unyielding. Naomi felt her heart plummet. Suspicious individual? She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "I'm just here to pick up some groceries."
Oh, some groceries.
Her voice
Now you
tinged
about to
with
go to the
confusion and
candy.
disbelief.
Don't you already know?
"I really don't understand what this is all about. Step outside with us, please,"
Yes.
Blake ordered, his voice leaving no room for negotiation. Naomi hesitated, but then reluctantly put her items down on the counter and followed the officers out of the store. A small crowd had started to gather, whispering and casting curious, judgmental glances in her direction. A wave of embarrassment and confusion washed over Naomi. How could this be happening? As she tried to explain to the officers that she was merely a weary doctor, grabbing essentials after a grueling day, her words seemed to fall on deaf ears. They were uninterested in her explanations. "Do you have any identification?" Hunter demanded, his tone cold and detached. Naomi nodded and reached into her bag to retrieve her ID. But before she could present it, Officer Blake abruptly seized her arm. "Don't move," he barked, his grip rough and unforgiving. Naomi recoiled slightly, shocked by the sudden aggression. "I'm just getting my ID," she said, her voice trembling as she fought to maintain her composure, though her nerves were unraveling. The crowd outside continued to swell, their eyes fixed on her, intensifying her feeling of being exposed and judged. How had a simple, mundane errand escalated into this nightmare? The officers, still skeptical, decided to escalate the situation. Without further explanation, they snapped handcuffs onto her wrists, the cold metal biting into her skin. Naomi felt her heart drop as the reality of the situation set in. As they escorted her toward the police cruiser, Naomi was overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions, anger, humiliation, and an overwhelming sense of helplessness. How had it come to this? She had dedicated her life to her career, earning respect and accolades, only to be reduced to this, a suspect, treated like a common criminal because of a hasty, flawed judgment. Is this really happening? She thought, her mind racing. The onlookers were gawking, some in shock, others whispering among themselves. Naomi caught fragments of their conversations. What's going on? Why are they arresting her? The curiosity of the crowd made her feel even more exposed and vulnerable, as though she were on display for their scrutiny. Naomi glanced at the officers, her frustration and disbelief bubbling to the surface. Can someone please tell me what's happening? She asked, her voice straining to remain steady. The officers offered no response, their faces blank and unreadable, as if she were invisible. Naomi was roughly shoved into the back of the cruiser, her wrists still aching from the cold, unforgiving grip of the handcuffs. She glanced out the window, catching sight of the store employees, including Sarah, who stood at the entrance with expressions ranging from discomfort to outright guilt. Their eyes darted away as if they couldn't bear to meet her gaze. Did they have any idea what they had set into motion? The thought gnawed at Naomi as the cruiser pulled away, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and anger. As the car rumbled toward the police station, Naomi sat in stony silence, her mind racing. What would Ethan think when he realized she wasn't home? Her husband, always the calm and composed high-ranking officer, would be beside himself with worry. And Jessica, their teenage daughter, who idolized her, would be terrified and confused. The guilt weighed heavily on Naomi's chest, constricting her breath. Ethan would surely be searching for her, trying to trace her steps. But how could she explain this to them? How had an ordinary stop at a convenience store spiraled into this nightmare? Questions churned in her mind, each one more troubling than the last. The cruiser's steady hum seemed to echo her thoughts, growing louder as they approached the station. How would she ever make sense of this when she finally got home? If she got home. The uncertainty gnawed at her, filling her with dread. Upon arrival, Naomi was yanked out of the cruiser and marched into the station, the officers flanking her like guards escorting a dangerous criminal. The fluorescent lights inside the station were harsh, casting everything in a cold, clinical glow. She was led down a narrow hallway, the sound of their footsteps echoing off the tiled floors, until they reached a small, dingy interrogation room. The door clanged shut behind her with a finality that sent a shiver down her spine. The room was sterile and dimly lit, with a single table and two chairs, a harsh overhead light casting deep shadows across the walls. The atmosphere was oppressive, designed to intimidate. Naomi was pushed into the chair across from where an officer sat, his eyes cold and calculating as he sized her up. There was a long, uncomfortable silence as he studied her, his expression unreadable. Naomi knew she needed to get in touch with her husband or her lawyer. She took a deep breath, trying to steady her voice, and said, "I need to call my lawyer." "Get up," he barked, his voice sharp and commanding. Naomi hesitated, taken aback by the sudden demand. "I said, get up," he repeated. "Get up!" This time, his tone breaking no argument. Slowly, Naomi rose to her feet, her heart pounding in her chest. The officer, a large man with a menacing presence, leaned back in his chair, a smirk tugging at the corner of his lips. "You're not in a position to make demands," he replied, his voice dripping with condescension. Naomi's heart skipped a beat, but she forced herself to remain calm. "I know my rights," she insisted, her voice firmer this time. "I'm entitled to make a phone call. I want to speak with my lawyer." The officer's smirk vanished, replaced by a look of irritation. He leaned forward, his eyes narrowing as he glared at her. You think you can just waltz in here and tell us how things are going to go? He sneered. You're in our house now. We make the rules. Naomi felt a surge of anger rise within her. I haven't done anything wrong, she protested. You can't just keep me here without letting me contact my lawyer. The officer's face darkened, and before she could react, he stood up abruptly, the chair screeching against the floor as it was pushed back. He strode around the table toward her, his fists clenched at his sides. You need to learn when to keep your mouth shut. The officer grabbed her arm roughly, yanking her toward the center of the cell with a force that made her wince. What is this about? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady, but he didn't answer. Instead, he shoved her hard against the wall, his hand pressing down on her shoulder with bruising force. Just checking for any contraband, he sneered, his voice dripping with sarcasm. The cold look in his eyes told her all she needed to know. He didn't see her as a person, just another criminal to be dealt with. Naomi felt a wave of humiliation and fear as he patted her down with unnecessary force, his hands lingering far too long on the body. This wasn't about procedure or safety. This was about power, about putting her in her place. Naomi's eyes widened in fear, but she refused to back down. I have a right to, she began, but her words were cut off as the officer backhanded her across the face with brutal force. The impact was so sudden and powerful that she nearly toppled out of the chair, her vision swimming as pain exploded across her cheek. She gasped, her hand flying to her face, feeling the sting of the blow and the warmth of blood which cut her skin. Tears welled up in her eyes, but she held them back, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing her cry. Shut up, or you'll get worse, the officer hissed, standing over her, his face twisted with anger. You're not going anywhere until we say so, and you're damn sure not talking to anyone, especially not a lawyer.
Oh my God.
Naomi's heart pounded in her chest, her mind reeling from the shock of what had just happened. She had known that this situation was dire, but now the full weight of it crashed down on her. These men weren't interested in justice or the law. They were out to break her, to strip her of her dignity and humanity. The officer leaned in closer, his voice low and menacing. You don't know who you're dealing with, he said. You think your lawyer or your husband can save you? They don't care about people like you. You're just another black woman who got too big for her britches. We're going to make sure you remember your place. Naomi's stomach churned with a mixture of fear and revulsion, but she steeled herself, determined not to let him see how deeply his words had cut. She kept her gaze steady, refusing to let him intimidate her, even as her cheek throbbed with pain. Take her back to the cell, the officer ordered, stepping back and gesturing to the floor. Two other officers appeared, their faces blank as they grabbed her roughly by the arms and hauled her to her feet. Naomi didn't resist as they dragged her back down the hallway, her mind a whirlwind of emotions, fear, anger, helplessness, but beneath it all, a spark of determination burned. She wouldn't let them break her. She wouldn't let them take away her dignity. They shot.
I don't know what the cat is.
Yeah.